Hello and welcome to another session of Let's Learn German. I hope you revised what we did in the previous session and you learnt also many new things. As always, in this session also we are going to learn some more new things in addition to what we did in the previous session. In the previous session, if you remember, we did pronouns in nominative and accusative. If you remember, we did the conversion of pronouns in third person, that is in nominative to in accusative, sie remains sie and s remains s both in nominative and accusative. Also you learnt that the plural pronoun sie in third person does not undergo any transformation and remains sie in accusative also. If you remember, in the previous sessions I had told you that in German there are lots of pronouns and we did the conversion of pronoun in nominative and accusative, and let us look at the other pronouns and their conversion in accusative. You are familiar with this first person pronoun, which is ich, which turns into mich in accusative. The second person pronoun du turns into dich in accusative. The second person formal pronoun sie remains sie in accusative, and coming to plural pronouns, the first person plural pronoun wir changes into uns, the second person informal pronoun ihr changes into euch, the second person formal pronoun sie remains sie, and as you know, the third person plural sie also remains sie in accusative. So, if you look at this table carefully, the change is happening for the first person singular, that is ich, which becomes mich. The second person pronoun du in singular becomes dich, and in the plural category we have again the change happening for the first person, where wir becomes uns, ihr becomes euch. So, it is only the first and the second person pronouns in singular as well as in plural which undergo change, as well as the masculine pronoun which becomes ihn. Otherwise, the rest of the pronouns retain their form in accusative. Also, I would like to again remind you that the size of s, whether it is big or small, remains the same in accusative. So, as you can see, the s in third person singular sie remains small both in nominative and accusative, and in the second person formal pronoun sie the s remains big in nominative as well as accusative, and same is the case in the second person sie and third person sie for singular and plural. Now, let us look at some examples where the pronouns are used in nominative as well as in accusative. Please look at this sentence. Hören Sie mich? Ja, ich höre Sie. If you can see, this pronoun sie is here in nominative and mich is in accusative, and as you can see, mich is the accusative form of the first person pronoun ich, and the answer for this question is ja, ich höre sie. The sie here is accusative, which is a second person formal pronoun. Versteht ihr uns? Nein, wir verstehen euch nicht. This verb would be new to you. The verb versteht comes from the infinitive verb verstehen, which means to understand. Now, as you can see here, ihr is in nominative, uns is in accusative, and in the answer wir is the nominative and euch is the accusative. If you see the table, euch is the nominative form of the person pronoun ihr in the second person plural category. Liebt sie ihn? Nein, sie liebt ihn nicht. Now, this verb also would be new to you. Liebt come from the infinitive verb lieben, which means to love. Now, if you can see here, the Sie is the third person feminine pronoun in singular and ihn is the third person masculine pronoun in accusative, and here Sie is the nominative pronoun and ihn is the accusative pronoun. Fragst du uns? Ja, ich frage euch. Here du is the nominative pronoun and uns is the accusative pronoun, where uns is the accusative pronoun form of the first person plural pronoun wir. And the answer is ich frage euch, and as you know now, euch is the second person plural pronoun form of ihr in accusative. Kennen Sie die Studenten? Ja, ich kenne sie. Here the pronoun sie is in nominative and die Studenten, which is the noun in accusative, is replaced by the pronoun sie in plural in third person. Besuchst du mich? Ja, ich besuche dich. Here the verb besuchen would be new to you. The verb besuchen means to visit. Now here, as you can see, du is the nominative, mich is the accusative pronoun, and the answer is ja, ich besuche dich, where ich is the nominative and dich is the second person informal form of the pronoun du in accusative. Did you find it confusing? Well, at the beginning you might find it confusing, but it is actually quite easy. Let us do some exercises and then our student would write the answers and we would check if the answers are right or wrong. Now, let us look at the answers given by the student. Wo ist die Brille? This word might be new for you. The word Brille means spectacles. Die Brille. Ich finde sie nicht. As you can see, the student correctly identified that here the noun form Brille carries the article die, therefore, it will have the pronoun sie in accusative. The answer is correct. Now, let us look at sentence number 2. Hast du das Geld? This word also would be new for you. Geld means money. Hast du das Geld? Nein, ich habe es nicht. As you can see, the student correctly identified the gender of this noun, which is das, and used this to write the correct pronoun of this noun here in accusative, which is es. Wo sind die Hunde? Sie sind im Garten. Here the noun Hunde means dogs, the plural form of der Hund, which is masculine. As you can see from the verb itself, we know that here the plural form of the verb is meant. And if you look at the pronoun, this is correct, as the pronoun begins with sie, and as you know, the third person plural form is always sie here in nominative as well as in accusative, and this pronoun here is in nominative, and since it begins here, the s is written. Haben Sie den Kalender? Nein, ich habe ihn nicht. You are familiar with the word calendar. In German also, there is a word calendar which has got, as you can see, the masculine article there, and here it is in accusative. Therefore, the student also wrote the correct pronoun for the accusative article here, which is ihn. Wie findet ihr die Wohnung? Wir finden sie gut. Here also the student correctly identified the gender of the noun here, which is feminine, and wrote the correct pronoun sie here, which is in accusative. Schreibst du die Adresse? Ja, ich schreibe sie. Here also the student wrote the correct pronoun in accusative, deriving it from the correct article and the noun which is also in accusative here, which is die Adresse. Kennst du den Arzt? Nein, ich kenne ihn nicht. This word would be new to you. The word Arzt means doctor. Here the student correctly identified that the noun Arzt is in accusative and wrote the correct form of pronoun here in accusative, which is ihn. I hope with this exercise you were able to understand how nouns and pronouns change their form in respective cases in nominative and accusative. We would do some more exercises so that you can learn them better. Now, let us look at the answers given by the student. In this exercise, the student had to write the correct article either in the nominative or in the accusative, in singular or in plural form, and also write the corresponding pronoun in nominative or in accusative, in singular or in plural form. Let us see the answers. Wo ist der Schlüssel? You might not be familiar with this word. Schlüssel means key. So, the student correctly identified with letter M that this noun carries the article der. So, the student wrote the correct article wo ist der Schlüssel and also wrote the correct pronoun for this noun, which is Er ist im Auto. Now, let us look at sentence number 2. Brauchen Sie das Buch? Ja, ich brauche es. Here also student correctly identified with letter N that the noun Buch carries the article das and it gets converted into S as pronoun form in accusative. Wascht ihr die Jeans? Ja, wir waschen sie. Here also student correctly identified that the noun jeans carry the article die because it belongs to feminine category, and wir waschen sie. Here in this sentence the student correctly wrote the pronoun form of the jeans as sie in the accusative by recognizing, like in the previous sentence, that ihr in this sentence and wir in this sentence both are in nominative. Trägst du die Schuhe? Nein, ich trage sie nicht. Here also the student correctly identified that the noun Schuhe is in plural, and as you know, the article for plural is die in nominative as well as in accusative. Also, the pronoun for the plural article die is sie in nominative as well as in accusative. Wie heißt die Professorin? Sie heißt Frau Bosch. Here, the student correctly recognized that the noun Professorin carries the article die, which is feminine, and also that this is the only noun here because there are no other nouns, and therefore, the noun here is a nominative, and the correct form of the pronoun of the article die in nominative is sie, which is the right answer. Was macht hier wir sehen einen Film? As you can see here in this question, there are no nouns, only pronoun, which is ihr, and the answer for this is wir sehen einen Film, where wir is the nominative. Wo ist das T-Shirt? Es ist in der Waschmaschine. As you know, here the noun T-shirt carries the article das, which the student correctly figured out from the letter N, and also wrote the correct pronoun for this noun in its nominative form here, which is S. So, you can see that the student understood how to distinguish between the noun and the pronoun in nominative and accusative, in singular and in plural form, and also wrote the correct answers in all the cases looking at the noun, the article, and also at the verb. Now, let us look at another category of pronoun. This pronoun category is called Fragepronomen. As you know, Frage means question, and here in German there are pronoun categories which are included in the question. Now, some of them are familiar to you. Wer ist das? Das ist John. Was ist das? Das ist ein Computer. As you know, these are W questions because they start with W, and you also know the position of the verb in the W question is always second, as you can see here. However, you can also see that I have marked the questions here where and was as nominative, and the answer given to these questions are also marked as nominative. So, for the question where is das? Das ist John. Was ist das? Das ist ein Computer. So, you might ask why for this question with where the answer is John, and the question with was the answer is ein Computer. Well, the where here is always used for persons in nominative, and was is always used for objects, that means for non-living things. That is why we have this form of the question where is das? Das ist John. Was ist das? Das ist ein Computer. And let me also tell you that we cannot interchange these questions. That means I cannot ask was ist das? Das ist John. That would be a wrong answer, because John is a person, a living thing, and was always refers to objects or non-living things. Well, as you know that apart from nominative, we have in German accusative also, and like any other pronoun, here also the pronoun undergoes a change. Now, let us look at this sentence, wen treffen Sie? As you can see, here there is a slight change in the W question. Here it has got a an ending, and here we have the pronoun Sie. Here, if you see, the pronoun Sie is marked as N, which is nominative, and the verb at the second position is conjugated according to the subject Sie here, and the object here or the accusative here is wen, and the answer is ich treffe meine Familie. I meet my family. Here the answer is meine Familie is accusative, and nominative here is the pronoun ich, according to which the verb treffen is conjugated. So, if you can see, the nominative where becomes accusative wen, and if you look at the W question was siehst du, here you can see that was is marked as accusative, and the pronoun du is here the nominative, which is marked as N, and the answer is Ich sehe einen Film. Ich is here nominative, einen Film is accusative, and here the noun einen Film actually refers to the question was. So, if you look at the W questions, the change happens only for those W questions where it is for the person, that means where becomes wen. For objects with W questions, was remains was. So, if you look at this table which I have written here, you can see that the ending where becomes wen, just like there becomes den, einer becomes einen. However, was remains was. And please remember, the where and the wen always refers to person, and was in nominative and accusative always refers to objects. So, whenever you are making a W question with these elements, please remember to use the appropriate W question for person or for objects. Now, let us look at some examples and try to understand how the Frage pronomen works in nominative and accusative. Now, let us look at some examples where Frage pronomen are used in nominative and accusative case. Now, look at this sentence. Magst du, ich schreibe eine E-Mail. If you see here, we have in accusative the word email, which is basically a non-living thing, and you know that for non-living thing the W question or the Frage pronomen is was. Now, let us look at sentence number 2. Here we have mein Vater. Vater means father, that is my father, and you know for persons in subject case or in nominative case the Frage pronomen is where. So, we have the question where is das? Das ist mein Vater. Now, let us look at sentence number 3. Lest ihr, wir lesen Comics. Here also you can understand that here there are no living persons, they are non-living objects, and for objects which are non-living we use the pronoun was. Now, let us look at this example. Wir treffen den Lehrer. Lehrer, as you know, means teacher, which as you know belongs to the persons category, and here if you see we have the definite article den in accusative and the pronoun wir, which is in nominative. So, the question will be asked in the accusative category, and the Frage pronomen here thus would be wen trefft ihr, because as you know that here the verb trefft is conjugated according to the pronoun ihr, which is in the nominative. Now, let us look at this example. Ich besuche meine Mutter. Mutter means mother. I visit my mother. Well, as you know, like in the previous example, this category also belongs to the persons category, and here meine Mutter is in the accusative case, therefore, the Frage pronomen will be wen. Now, if you see these examples, you can very well understand that there are always signals in the sentence, so that you can understand if the Frage pronomen needs to be a was, where or a wen. However, make sure that you know how to identify and distinguish between a nominative and an accusative in a sentence. So, I hope you were able to understand the concept of nominative and accusative and the usage in terms of pronoun in today's session, and I hope you would continue to revise what we are doing in all the sessions. I would like to remind you to please revise your verb conjugations, the articles, the noun forms and the plural forms, and as I always say, auf Wiedersehen, tschüss.